Ridley Scott's Blade Runner is a film that has continued to fascinate and inspire audiences now over 30 years since its release. This is, of course, the great director's follow-up to Alien, which proved to combine horror and science fiction in a shockingly authentic way. Blade Runner seemed to be an ideal next film for Scott, still working within science fiction, but for this project integrating neo-noir genre elements. This is a film that really pushed the limit, not just by way of special effects at the time, which hold up flawlessly today, but also through its storytelling. And it's kind of a miracle this was even made. It's a hard sell when you step back from it and think about it objectively, and how a moody, entirely serious science fiction drama couldn't really capture the affection of the masses as something like Star Wars, which was kind of the point. This is science fiction that strives to provoke thought, to set a contemplative and cerebral mood, and hopefully entertain too, but not necessarily meant to be a thrill ride adventure. So it's definitely aiming for different goals, which could potentially put people off. But one thing you may hear from a lot of viewers who have come to love Blade Runner is that they may not have entirely fell 100% in love with it upon first viewing. And in all honesty, I'm one of those people. This is a movie that deserves to be watched more than once. Not only because it might not be exactly what you would expect it to be when first watching it, but because there is a lot to take in. A first viewing may only be to decompress, to lay the groundwork, and upon repeat viewings, once all that's out of the way, you're allowed to fully immerse yourself in this unique universe that Ridley Scott has created, to really think about the characters and their motivations and the secrets of the story that may have been hiding in plain sight the whole time. With each viewing, I find it to be a different experience, and it grows all the more fascinating, especially considering there's multiple versions available to view, including the original theatrical version, the international version, the work print version, the 1992 director's cut, and the 2007 version, overseen in great detail personally by Scott, dubbed as the final cut of the film. As with any noir, you have the crucial components: the flawed hero, who feels conflicted about the case; the femme fatale, who may or may not be trustworthy; the moral areas as gray as the future-set Los Angeles sky depicted here. There's sections of dialogues in this film that feel almost like they could have been taken directly from obscure 1930s detective films. But seeing them take place within this astounding futuristic dystopia makes it all the more jarring. It's this specific type of vision and execution that really makes the film stand out in the way that it does. Much like with Ridley Scott's Alien, this is material that is very consciously straying away from B material, and it shows in the production value and in the performances. Harrison Ford, in particular, is excellent, and we've just never quite seen a performance from him like this, and maybe it's because of the noir atmosphere, but I'd almost compare this to Jack Nicholson's work in Chinatown. Our normal conception of this actor is challenged here. He's boxed in a bit. He's tamed down a bit. Almost, you could say, stiff, but in the best possible kind of way. Without going over the top in any way, Ford is challenged to keep his emotions at bay, which allows Deckard to become a more psychologically challenging character. And it also plays into, of course, the very popular theory that Deckard himself is one of the replicants. A theory so popular, even Ridley Scott himself has gone as far to say, if you don't realize Deckard's a replicant, you're an idiot. So there's that. Thanks, Ridley. And I think it is because of the ambiguity of the plot that allows and encourages such interpretation. In the broadest sense of things, the premise is very simple and very straightforward. But it's a detail-oriented film. We don't have character histories and motivations spelled out for us, but we pick up on things. We have Deckard, this detective, this assassin, this Blade Runner, however you'd like to refer to him, tracking down these advanced artificial beings, the replicants, or skin jobs, if you prefer, which were created by the Tyrell Corporation. They escape from their slave labor on a far-off colony to come back to Earth, and they're out there somewhere, led by the incredibly dangerous and unpredictable Roy Batty, played brilliantly, by the way, by Rutger Hauer. Deckard, of course, is hesitant every step of the way, He wants nothing to do with it. He wants to leave this life behind him. Things are complicated when Tyrell, in assisting with the investigation, introduces Deckard to Rachel, a replicant so advanced that she doesn't know she's a replicant, and is created with a whole lifetime of memories in her mind, and is difficult to test for her human or inhuman traits. This does set something off in Deckard, a subtle conflict where we sense he has some questions about Rachel and of himself. So his mission becomes foggier, his loyalties all the more unclear, and the danger is heightened when Batty's path of destruction is leading right to Tyrell himself. And with this corporation, so accurately replicating the design of a human, physically, mentally, spiritually even, that for whatever purpose their intention was to serve, however high the desire to play God must have been, Tyrell has created beings that share the same concerns of mortality that we have. The only difference being they are built with a fail-safe contingency plan, which is a 4-year lifespan. So they carry the burden of knowing exactly when their life is up, which is the kind of knowledge no sentient being would likely want to have. And the question to Tyrell is why he would advance these creations to such a point. What need he himself is trying to fulfill. Tyrell isn't prominent enough to get a full idea of his intentions and desires, but Blade Runner is not a story about God complexes, though Tyrell does pay a price in the end. The replicants know who their creator is. He is physically within their reach. As human beings, we struggle with our own questions of creation and seek answers through less than tangible ideas of religion, philosophy, science, and without that kind of uncertainty extinguished, the replicants here may have found themselves with the realization that they're living lonely, very short existences. And as evidenced, especially through Batty, this fuels a madness and desperation to attain a longer lifespan from his creator. A viewer may also wonder, and many have theorized about this, that Tyrell himself just might be a replicant. Maybe there's something Batty knows that we don't. Maybe his mission has no end to its means. And maybe he is purposely, knowingly, and willingly a figure of chaos. Blade Runner almost literally is about questions. Like with that replicant recognition test, when the movie is over, we run through a list of questions ourselves in our minds, specific to this movie. Does Batty suspect Deckard of being a replicant? What is the significance of the unicorn? Is it specific kind of implantation for the replicants? Is it intentional or incidental? How much does Gaff know? And why does he so teasingly present these origami works in these situations? Was he the real Blade Runner all along, supervising Deckard? If so, does he resent him, or ultimately come to empathize with him? How much does Tyrell know? It would seem the story of the baby spiders eating the mother spider carries some significance of things to come, as if he knew what was waiting for him. Why does Tyrell introduce Deckard to Rachel? Is it simply to establish the fact that replicants are becoming more advanced to better help him on his mission? Or possibly was Rachel made specifically for Deckard to play out this whole scenario, as if it were a calculated move on his chessboard? Noir certainly feels that way, doesn't it? All these characters are already created and ready. They have specific traits and abilities that they must, by the rules, by the conventions, adhere to. But a keen player, such as Ridley Scott, can create moves and scenarios that we have not seen played out in the game in such a way. Blade Runner is a film that has captured imaginations, provoked such questions for decades, and with its incredible and breathtaking visuals, with its great and convincing performances from Harrison Ford, Sean Young, Rutger Hauer, Daryl Hannah, Edward James Olmos, M. Emmett Walsh, William Sanderson, and Joel Turkel, all under Ridley Scott's masterful direction, all based around Philip K. Dick's unique futuristic vision. It brings a legitimacy and sincerity to the material that, yes, under different care, could have been quite silly. Ridley Scott is a legendary director. He's made countless great movies, but Blade Runner could very well be his masterpiece. It's thought-provoking, It's engaging, it's highly rewatchable, and it's a favorite. And that's my review of Blade Runner. So a very challenging film that, it raises a lot of questions that, audiences are still seeking out. So it's going to be a movie that lasts. So I love it. I definitely wanted to review it, though. It's a challenging movie that I couldn't possibly analyze or explain to a T, but hopefully you enjoyed the review, what I had to say about the movie, my sort of interpretation, my sort of questions that I had coming off of it. Really quick, I just wanted to talk about the different versions of the movie, of which there are many. Of course, I have here the very cool box briefcase set, which I love. This was released for the 25th anniversary. This was released in 2007. I do not have this on Blu-ray, unfortunately, but it's a really cool set. And I'll just open it up a little bit here. It has a lot of cool stuff in here, which I won't go into, but I'll just go into the different versions. So, of course, we have the original theatrical cut. That has the narration, which a lot of people don't like, because it is kind of silly. It kind of spells out the movie a little too much, but at the same time you can kind of think, okay, since they are going for a more noir kind of tone to the movie, yeah, I mean, it makes sense why they would want to do that, but I don't think they got it quite right. Narration can make or break a movie. Think of how well it made something like Apocalypse Now, and I think it kind of hindered something like Blade Runner. So there was, of course, the work print version that did not have the narration, and the international version I don't believe had it as well. So kind of for a decade, the movie was kind of lost in this kind of limbo, and it was finally the director's cut emerged in 1992, and so that kind of brought the movie into a whole new light. So I really like the director's cut. I much prefer it to the theatrical version. I'm not a big fan of the narration, so between the director's cut and the original cut, I mean, there's not too many differences. There's very subtle differences that you'll notice, even like subtle lines. Like, I can't remember exactly which version is which, but there's that one scene, of course, where Batty confronts Tyrell. Some versions he's saying, "I want more like father." Other versions he's like, "I want more like fucker." So there's subtle differences like that to be found all over. So I have taken a look at all the versions. I would say currently, just because they kind of brought it to a certain type of perfection. I do like the final cut version. And I just recently got the Blu-ray, so I finally got it's just the final cut, so it doesn't have all the great different options that you can get with this set here, which I want to keep this set forever. It's such an awesome set, and of course it even comes here, if I can grab that, the little origami unicorn, which is pretty cool. So that's cool. But of course, the movie looks insanely spectacular on Blu-ray. I was watching it recently. It's just even more breathtaking than it is in DVD. So they've really brought it to its perfection in terms of how it looks, but also just little details. They've added things here and there. There's one scene where you see like the dancers with like the hockey mask, which doesn't really make or break the movie, but it's interesting to see them added in. So I think with the final cut, with this 2007 version, kind of goes to show that Ridley Scott can go back to his movie. He can go back to it, make little improvements, maybe touch upon things that may have bothered him about the original movie, and just spiffied it up a little bit. So as opposed to something like George Lucas, he was able to go back and make improvements without completely fucking up the film. But whatever version you watch, I think it is an intriguing film. Different people have their different preferences about which version is the superior, is the definitive. But I would say that the final cut is the version that I've always kind of wanted to watch. So this is something that if I told somebody, hey, have you seen Blade Runner? No, I haven't. What version should I watch? I would say the final cut. That's what I would say. But the other versions are intriguing, and so I'm glad they have them available in this set. So yeah, that's Blade Runner, and this has been a favorites series of reviews. So basically, what I want to do is just no particular order, do certain reviews of some of my favorite movies, and this is one of my favorites. So it's always a little bit harder to express why you love a movie so much. So hopefully I got some points across here, but there will be more to come in the future. But for now, this is my review of Blade Runner. What do you think of Blade Runner? Comment below. Let me know. Do you think it's a masterpiece, or are you like in the camp that's like, no, I can't deal with this movie? So that'd be interesting to hear the polarizing opinions on that. So leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be great. And social media, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all that good stuff. So thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more.